need a hard cock. My man hasn't fucked me in weeks, and once again, he can't get it up. I need to get a deep, solid pounding before I lose my mind. Hi, sorry. I'm Megan, and that was me last year complaining to all my girlfriends about my husband, Mike. Just before I reinvigorated our sex life and saved our marriage in 3 days by stealing a secret compound formulated by an acclaimed endocrinology doctor. The thing is, he reserved his secret only for his highest-paying male clients who were suffering from dying libido, weak erections, and low energy. But now I'm going to give the secret formula to you. Because, well, number one, screw him for being so greedy and keeping regular guys like you and my husband suffering in the dark. And number two, I have a personal reason to get revenge on that dirtbag doctor for putting me through the most embarrassing experience of my life. But I'll get to that in a sec, because the truth is, my husband's libido had flatlined for so long that I came this close to cheating on him. But before it came to that, I used this formula to fire up his sex drive and bring his erections raging back from the dead, harder and stronger than ever before. And since our sex life is red hot with passion again, and I'm more than satisfied with this cock of steel, I want to pass the secret on to regular guys like you, before you lose your girl, or worse, go past the point of no return and lose your ability to get hard forever. So if you want harder, long-lasting erections, plus unstoppable, all-day energy, laser-sharp focus, and a leaner, more muscular body without expensive, dangerous drugs or grueling, impossible fad diets, then this short video will be the most life-changing information you've ever seen. Around this time a year ago, my husband, we'll call him Mike, well, he just wasn't satisfying me in the bedroom. We hadn't had sex in weeks, and I was getting desperate. I wanted to get laid. I was constantly dropping hints that I was horny and in the mood, wearing sexy lace lingerie, high heels, his favorite, or doing my hair differently. Sometimes I'd even wear a skirt without any panties and sit on his lap, but nothing worked. He just wasn't interested. Several times I even crawled into bed totally naked and went down on him, but he just said he was tired and would turn over on his side. Talk about making a girl feel rejected, right? At first I thought he was depressed, or maybe bored with family life, or maybe it was me. I mean, when we first met, he couldn't keep his hands off me, and his manhood wouldn't go down, and his libido was out of control. But then he seemed to lose interest around his late 30s. I knew guys lost a little mojo as they got older, but Mike's sex drive had totally flatlined. In fact, he didn't seem interested in anything, really. He had a great job with a food distribution company, and at first he was a rising star. But then his career flatlined. And at home, he never laughed or wanted to go anywhere or do anything. And he was gaining weight, fast. I'm a very passionate woman. Plus, us ladies, we hit our sexual peak later in life, in our 40s and even 50s. So the idea that this was going to be the state of our marriage for the rest of my life made me miserable. And I began considering divorce. And I hate to admit it, cheating. I was always fantasizing about other men ravishing me because Mike sure wasn't. And after Mike went to work, I would touch myself, imagining a strong, virile man was watching me and wanting me and caressing me, licking me everywhere, with a powerful, throbbing erection just for me. What I didn't know was how self-conscious and guilty Mike felt about his low libido. He was silently suffering from something far more insidious, but was ashamed to talk about it. What neither one of us knew was that Mike was just one of millions of men around the world being chemically castrated every single day by an invisible plague that directly attacks your hormone system by raising your estrogen levels and blocking testosterone production. As you may know, estrogen is the hormone that gives women female traits, but it exists in men in small amounts, while testosterone is what gives men their manly traits. and drives libido, erection strength, mood, energy, and even focus. Now, normally, men are told they need to boost their testosterone because it naturally drops as you age, but this is wrong. Your testosterone does not drop enough to cause dead libido, weak and frequent erections, paralyzing low energy, depression and mood swings, fat gain around your gut, and even man boobs. Yep, these problems are all caused by the increase of estrogen in your body, which also kills the testosterone you already have. But here's the kicker. It's not your estrogen. It's estrogen that comes from outside your body in the form of chemicals in your water, food, and air. And many normal items you use every day that you would never expect could screw up your hormones. And the worst part about it is that not only are these chemicals undetectable, but they are everywhere. In cans of soda and beer, shampoo and soap, and even your refrigerator handle. Not to mention all around your office and all over your home. And in the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly what these toxic chemicals are, and exactly where they lurk in your environment. I'll also show you a simple, easy, and scientifically proven way to not only shield yourself against this chemical castration, but also reverse the damage that's already been done to your manhood and your sexual health. Which means that even if you are over 60, you can once again walk around with the swagger that comes from a strong sex drive and the confidence that you can get it up whenever you want and pleasure any woman with your performance. See, luckily for Mike and my sexual appetite, I discovered an easy, all-natural, powerful formula that's like rocket fuel for your penis and your drive in life overall. But I had some help, which is why I'm going to pay that help forward to you. Because I don't want to see any more good men neutered by the toxic chemicals in our modern world. See, you have to understand, I was so unhappy, and so was my husband. He was depressed and had no energy or libido and really weak erections, if you could even call them that. And he just had a general lack of vitality and lust for life. Well, eventually I stopped trying to get him in the mood because I only ended up feeling rejected. And I could tell he knew he was letting me down. Night after night he just sat in front of the TV or scrolled through his phone. But I just couldn't stop worrying. So I started searching online for answers and kept wondering what the problem could be. Then, one day, I was in the checkout line at the supermarket when I noticed a magazine cover. Male infertility crisis in the U.S. has experts baffled. It had a cartoon image of a sperm flatlining on a heart rate monitor to show that men's sperm are dying. I had a feeling about this, so I bought a copy. The article kept mentioning something called endocrine disruptors. Strange word. Now, endocrine. Where had I heard that before? Well, I went back online and found study after study from all these major universities, and their results were downright terrifying. They showed that men's sperm counts and testosterone levels have been diving off a cliff over the past 30 years. Not only that, but cases of erectile dysfunction have more than doubled in that same time period. No wonder those prescription blue pills are selling like hotcakes. And what's weird is this chemical castration crisis is only happening to men in North America, Europe, and Australia. In other words, the most developed parts of the world. And here's the worst part. The same chemicals that cause low libido, weak sperm, and erection problems also cause cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure in men. This chemical attack against men is a real-life nightmare. But most people don't know about it, because this is a new phenomenon. This simply wasn't a problem a few decades ago. In other words, this is not normal. And so I wondered, well, what the hell is going on? So I kept sleuthing, and I discovered that endocrinology is basically the study of hormones. And hormones are behind everything going on in your body. Now, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, endocrine disruptors are synthetic chemicals that trick your body into making too much or too little of certain hormones. And this throws your entire endocrine system, that is, your hormone system, totally out of balance. But endocrine science was way over my head. Ugh, I wish I was a doctor. And that's when I remembered where I heard that word before. I had a friend from college who went on to medical school to become an endocrinologist. His name is Truyen. He was from somewhere in Asia, but everyone just called him Troy. He lived down the hall from me, and I could tell he liked me, but he wasn't my type. He was nice and all, but he was skinny and kind of goofy, definitely not the manly type I usually go for. He had friended me on Facebook a while back, and we chatted a couple of times, occasionally liking each other's posts, that kind of thing. So I decided to message him about my amateur research to ask if I could pick his brain sometime. I didn't let on that I was having trouble in my marriage, for obvious reasons. Well, he agreed and suggested we meet at a cafe in the nearby college town where he taught courses and ran his own private practice helping men with hormone problems. But it never occurred to me that this meeting could be trouble. I mean, after all, this was the awkward nerd I friend-zoned back in college. He was totally harmless. Right? A week later, I was sipping a warm latte in the corner booth of a little coffee shop late in the afternoon, when Troy walked in. He was not the boy I remembered. It was like he had this energy or aura that was big and powerful. He was in much better shape, more muscular, healthy skin, and he walked in with a confidence and presence I had never seen before. He gave me a big, strong hug, lifting me off the floor, looked deep into my eyes and said, "Hey, Megan, how are you?" I stuttered. Hi, I'm okay. Hi, Troy." Right away, I felt nervous, warm, giddy. Oh my God, I was getting wet just being close to him. And a few minutes later, I discovered the secret weapon he was using on me. Well, I tried to gather myself, and we made some small talk. But what he didn't know was that my phone was recording everything he said, so that I could go back later and review our talk if I needed to. So here's what he told me. While he was in medical school, he began suffering from andropause. Like how women go through menopause, only with men, they lose their testosterone while their estrogen goes way up. And it's afflicting men at younger and younger ages now. And like many guys today, it started for Troy in his 20s. In his words, he became skinny fat. He had thin arms and legs, but a potbelly. He had trouble focusing on school, and he had no libido, which he knows are all sure signs of high estrogen in men. He had a girlfriend, but they didn't have sex for months at a time. So there was a lot of tension, and they began arguing all the time. All the while, she was getting colder and colder. His doctor told him his hormones were a mess and prescribed him Viagra, an antidepressant, and synthetic testosterone cream that he was supposed to rub on his shoulder every day. He tried all three, but they had serious side effects. The antidepressant made him emotionally numb and not care about medical school. The testosterone cream didn't have any positive effects. It just made his testicles shrink. And, of course, there was the humiliation of being in his late 20s and needing the little blue pill. In fact, Troy told me that nowadays more and more young men come to him all the time asking for Viagra because they can't perform in bed. 10 years ago, hell, 5 years ago, this would have sounded completely crazy. But Troy said that it's very common now, and it's much worse for men in their 40s and older. Troy understood how embarrassing the situation is because his longtime girlfriend eventually dumped him for it. And that's what shocked him into reality. He threw out all the prescription pharmaceutical crap and switched his focus to endocrinology so he could focus on the male hormone system and devote himself to finding a natural, healthy solution to this modern male epidemic. And obviously he succeeded, at least for himself. I asked him what he knew about endocrine disruptors, and that's when his face turned dead serious. He said, "Megan, they are really endocrine destroyers. They are industrial-made chemicals, and unlike 50 years ago, they are now everywhere. As Troy's tone got more intense, something about him was entrancing me, but I still didn't know what it was. Yet. Then he said, "Megan, there are two main types of endocrine destroyers. First, there are xenoestrogens, which means foreign estrogens that come from outside your body. And these increase the estrogen in your body and bind onto testosterone to make it useless. Kind of like in football. You're the running back, and a defensive tackle is dragging on your leg while you're trying to run the ball into the end zone. The most common xenoestrogens are phthalates, bisphenol A or BPA, parabens, polychlorinated biphenyls, acrylamide, perfluoroctanoic whatever acid, polyisobutylene, phytoestrogens, monosodium glutamate or MSG, and cysteine, both common food preservatives, bovine growth hormone found in most dairy and meat, and estradiol, which is synthetic estrogen used as birth control, and it's actually in your tap water. See, when women pee, it goes back into the water supply, but the water treatment centers can't filter it out because the molecules are too small. So if you drink tap water, you are literally drinking estrogen along with tons of other chemicals like chlorine and fluoride. But bottled water isn't much better because it's been sitting in plastic made with phthalates or BPA for months. It's crazy to even think about. The list of food, beverages, and everyday items made with these chemicals is too long to list, but they are in everything from aluminum and plastic packaging, cleaning supplies, carpet, paint, tap water, bottled water, soda, beer. And the hops in beer is a xenoestrogen too, specifically a phytoestrogen. These estrogen-raising chemicals are also in skin creams, soap and shampoo, pill coatings, paper and plastic cups, processed food, beef, chicken and pork, cheese, condiments, and even your damn steering wheel. And then you have dioxins, which are the most toxic chemicals known to man. Agent Orange was actually made with dioxins, which made it such a devastating chemical weapon in the Vietnam War. Dioxins stop testosterone production and throw your other hormones completely out of balance. For example, there's DDT, which is pretty well known because it was so toxic it was banned. But it still lingers in our environment. Then it gets stored in our fat cells and takes years to flush out. And then there's glyphosate, which is the most commonly used pesticide made by Monsanto. In fact, glyphosate, better known as Roundup, is currently under investigation because Monsanto made a backroom deal with the EPA so they would look the other way and allow Roundup to go on the market, even though the studies showing its supposed safety were totally bogus. I already mentioned fluoride, which is actually an industrial waste that is dumped into our water to clean our teeth or whatever. Then there's chlorine, which is added to most tap water and also used in pools, plus ammonia and bleach and tons of other household cleaners. And the list goes on and on and on. Dioxins are found in everything from water, soda, snack foods, GMO produce, pesticides, and even in the air in the form of air pollution. Anything that does not come purely from nature is very possibly made from either a xenoestrogen or a dioxin. And this horror show mostly affects men, but it also causes cancer and other disease for women too. But what Troy said next shocked me even more. Through his experience in the medical industry, he discovered that big pharmaceutical corporations often only treat symptoms, not the root causes of health problems. Just watch any big pharma commercial on Prime TV warning you about 10 million crazy side effects. You fix one symptom and you get 10 more symptoms. And by the way, Big Pharma spends 19 times more money on advertising than on research. And here's the big lie they tell you. Low testosterone is a normal part of aging. But the science has already proven that the rapid decline in male testosterone levels is a new trend. We now know that it's caused by foreign chemicals which increase estrogen, waste testosterone that you already have, slow production of new testosterone, and screw up all your other hormone levels too. It's true that testosterone levels are supposed to drop a little. Let's face it, if you still had the crazy levels of a 16-year-old boy, your life would be a mess. Over time, your hormones balance out, which is good and natural. But we now have scientific proof that the nightmare of low libido, fatigue and depression, erectile dysfunction, low and weak sperm, weight gain, muscle loss, and all the cancer and disease caused by hormone imbalance is not natural. So while Troy studied Western medicine during the day, he secretly researched and tested every herbal extract, mineral, and vitamin he could think of. But then he had a revelation, and all of a sudden he realized what he had been missing. Troy grew up in Malaysia, and Eastern or Asian medicine takes a different approach to disease compared to the West. Remember, the research said this hormone crisis only exists in North America, the UK, and Australia. In other words, the West. But Troy grew up in a culture where they see the body as a system with many moving parts, just like a sports team, say soccer or football. So, to treat disease, they look for what's broken in the system. In other words, which player is not doing his job. But instead of replacing that player, like the pharmaceutical corporations want to do, traditional Asian medicine provides support so that he can heal and come back stronger than ever. And a team can only win if the players work together as a unit, playing offense and defense. On offense, your hormone team scores by maximizing your free testosterone, supporting the creation of new testosterone, and increasing androgen production. Androgen is the precursor to testosterone. At the same time, your team defends against the daily attack from all those chemical poisons. So when Troy looked at hormones as a system, a team, he was finally able to find the perfect formula which gave him better results than he ever expected were possible. The formula is a unique combination of 6 rigorously tested and scientifically proven ingredients from all over the world that work together synergistically to block estrogen, boost testosterone, and support your hormone team as a whole unit. And that's the key. The synergy of this all-star team is the secret 7th ingredient. It's the X factor that makes it so powerful.